How are you today? This is Pastor Peter Christian Hessing. Welcome again to another one of our important talks. In 1945, during World War II, and after Japan had attacked Pearl Harbor and destroyed many of the American ships, and many Americans had been killed, and World War II was raging in Europe. Millions of people were being killed because of the German invasion led by Adolf Hitler. Japan had started a invasion in the Pacific, and millions of people were being killed. And in order to stop the war and have peace, the United States was forced to use atomic weapons. In 1945, United States dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima to force Japan to surrender. Nearly over 140,000 people were killed. Sometime later, another atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, and probably more than 50,000 people were killed. And it demonstrates to us the danger of nuclear weapons. Those atomic bombs are not as powerful as the hydrogen bombs that we now have in the world. We have nearly 20,000 nuclear weapons in the world. Recently, President Obama and certain of the other world leaders met in Japan, and President Obama went to Hiroshima to focus on the need for the world to have nuclear disarmament. We are in a very crucial time in history when we have to reduce the amount of nuclear weapons in the world if we are to save the world from nuclear destruction. Recently, North Korea has been trying to develop a long-range nuclear weapons. And also we have had an agreement to stop Iran from building nuclear weapons. Also, we have a situation in the Ukraine where Russia has actually threatened to use nuclear weapons. So this is a very serious time that we must have a new treaty and take new steps to reduce the use of nuclear weapons and to have peace in the world. We are at this historic moment. A lot of this will depend on who we have as our next president, whether we have Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump. So it's very important that the American people elect a president who will seek to have nuclear disarmament and not to allow other countries to get nuclear weapons. Hillary Clinton has spoken about reducing nuclear weapons. And Mr. Trump has said that he would rather to have more countries acquire nuclear weapons. I think this is a very dangerous idea. We really have to have massive reductions in nuclear weapons. The current nuclear weapons treaty that we have is expiring, and we need to have further reductions in nuclear weapons. We have probably nearly 4 or 5,000 operational nuclear weapons in the world, another probably 15,000 nuclear warheads in the world in the various arsenals of about 9 or 10 countries. So we must reduce nuclear weapons. And this time, in negotiating this treaty, we have to include all these nuclear nations, not just America and Russia. We really need to have a 24/7 system to prevent the use of nuclear weapons, to have a 24/7 inspection and monitoring system by the International Atomic Agency of all the nuclear weapons in the world. This means that the International Atomic Agency would monitor and inspect all of the nuclear weapons in the world. This would mean they would inspect all of the nuclear weapons on ships, on submarines, in bombers, underground, in silos, whether they have them up in space. But this means that we would have a round-the-clock, 24/7 inspection system and monitoring system by the International Atomic Agency, so as to make sure that no country launches a first strike. We also need a treaty that bans the first strike use of nuclear weapons, makes that a war crime, makes the use of nuclear weapons and chemical and biological and other means of mass destruction a crime against humanity and a war crime. We also need to have a treaty that will also set very strict regulations on airspace violations. We have had a lot of near clashes between Russian aircraft and American ships and Chinese planes in the South Pacific and American ships. And there's been hundreds of airspace violations by Russia in Europe, flying over these different countries. So we really need a treaty that will regulate and have strict requirements on airspace and aircraft distances, so that you don't have this near confrontation between Russian aircraft and American aircraft and Russian ships and American ships and so forth. So we need to have a new treaty that will reduce the amount of operational nuclear weapons in the world, which are probably about 4,000 to 5,000, and a treaty that also reduces the 15,000 or so nuclear warheads that the countries have in their arsenals. And this time we need to have a treaty that includes all the nuclear weapon countries. It includes America, Russia, China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, and also Israel. We need to have all these countries together to reduce nuclear weapons and move us closer towards a global zero. You know, some people are saying, well, you know, we can't exist without nuclear weapons, but we have only had nuclear weapons now for about 70 odd years. You know, for thousands of years, I mean, the world has existed without nuclear weapons, so we can get rid of nuclear weapons. I'm a patented inventor. We have been designing a system that can actually receive nuclear weapons and disarm them. And now technology is coming on board where nuclear rockets and nuclear weapons can actually be sent back and be boomerang. So we're entering what you call the nuclear boomerang age, where it is self-destructive to have long-range nuclear missiles, and we have to move towards completely reducing nuclear weapons. If we have a 10% reduction in nuclear weapons each year, in 10 years, we would go close to global zero. Or if we had a 5% reduction in probably 20 years, we would have nuclear disarmament. So we really need to do that, to have this new nuclear weapons treaty. Whoever becomes our next president, whether we have Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump, will have the opportunity to negotiate massive reductions in nuclear weapons and to have a 24/7 system of inspection and monitoring by the United Nations and the International Atomic Agency to prevent the first strike use of nuclear weapons. We really need a treaty that bans the first strike use of nuclear weapons. I have a book coming out which I want you to look for, which is the 24/7 Safety Inspection Treaty to prevent the use of nuclear weapons and the nuclear boomerang, is by me, Peter Christian Hessing. I also have some gospel music that you can get by going to Amazon.com, putting in my name, Peter Hessing. We have 2 CDs coming out, President of Reggae Rap Hip Hop, Country and the Gospel, Peace, and Mr. Michael House. Thank you, God bless, join me again. This is Pastor Peter Christian. Give your hearts and lives to God and Jesus. Let us save this beautiful planet that Jehovah God and Jesus have given us. And as Jesus says, blessed are the peacemakers, they'll be called the children of God. Thank you, God bless, peace and love.